I accepted the challenge to create a video about a movie I never before watched. My son suggested The Sandlot, a movie he enjoyed. Having spent a few summer evenings with my son at the ballpark, I thought I would watch this movie and comment on it. The Sandlot is a coming-of-age comedy set in the summer of 1962. The adult cast includes Denis Leary when his career was on the upswing, Karen Allen when her career was on the downswing, and the always steady James Earl Jones. The film follows Scotty Smalls, a shy new kid in town who struggles to make friends until he's welcomed into a group of boys who play baseball at the neighborhood Sandlot. Under the guidance of their charismatic leader, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, Scotty learns the game and the value of friendship. The film is narrated a Christmas story style, with the adult Scotty narrating the events. Scotty recently moved to the neighborhood with his mother, played by Allen, and his new stepfather, played by Leary. His mother encourages him to make friends and to get into a little bit of trouble. He finds that the local group of kids his age are one player short of the 9 they need for a full baseball team. Scotty never played baseball before, and most of the boys are hesitant to include him, but Benny mentors him in a way that he not only learns the game, but becomes a decent player. Before the film gets into the third act, there are a few funny sub-stories. One involves the lifeguard at a local pool. Her name is Wendy Peffercorn. For those of you who aren't familiar with German, that means exactly what it sounds like. She's hot stuff. One of the boys, nicknamed Squints because he wears thick glasses, he doesn't know how to swim. He has a crush on Peffercorn. He dives into the deep end of the pool in an effort to get Wendy to resuscitate him and perhaps steal a kiss. When this works, Wendy gets mad and the boys get banned from the pool for the rest of the summer. But in the eyes of Squints, it was all worth it. Later in the film, the boys get in a trash talk battle with a local Little League team. Of course, the battle ends with the insult, "You play ball like a girl." They end up playing a grudge match against the other team, which our heroes easily win. They celebrate their victory at a local carnival. There they try some chewing tobacco and get sick on one of the rides. That's a bad combination, especially for young kids. Adult Scotty, however, states that none of them ever used chewing tobacco again. The film's central conflict arises when the boys lose a prized baseball owned by Scotty's stepfather, signed by Babe Ruth, hit over a fence into the yard of a fearsome dog known only as the Beast at this point. Their creative, often hilarious attempts to retrieve the ball drive the story. The boys are about to give up on the quest when Benny has a dream where he talks to Babe Ruth. The Babe encourages Benny just to go get the ball. In the end, it turns out that the Beast is an English Mastiff named Hercules, and he belongs to Mr. Myrtle, a Negro Leagues veteran. Both Hercules and Mr. Myrtle are very friendly. Mr. Myrtle trades a dog-chewed Babe Ruth ball for another signed by the entire Murderers Row team from the 1930s, and a weekly talk about baseball. Hercules becomes the mascot of Benny and Scotty's team, and Benny and Scotty become friends for life. The Sandlot didn't do very well at the box office. It was released in 1993, the same summer Jurassic Park and The Fugitive were released. These blockbusters were difficult to compete against. I was living in Alaska that summer. There were, as I recall, 12 screens in all of Anchorage. And as I remember, The Sandlot never made it to Alaska. This was a movie that made its money after it was released on home video. At the time, word of mouth was needed for a movie to become successful on home video. This is similar to how A Christmas Story became successful. That's also why I didn't see the movie until recently. At the end of that summer, I became a father, and I really didn't see a lot of movies at the time. When my baby was a little bit older, I got back to the theater. I now live near Salt Lake City, where most of the Sandlot was filmed. You can take a tour of the places where it was filmed. The Sandlot itself is located on the west side of the city, not very far from the airport. About 2 miles north of the Sandlot is the location where a planned Major League Baseball stadium sits. The houses of Scotty Smalls and Benny Rodriguez are on the east side near the University of Utah. Both of these locations are private property, and I encourage you to respect the rights of the owners. Do not knock on the door and expect a tour. Plus, keep in mind that the indoor shots of the Smalls home and Mr. Myrtle's home were filmed in a studio. You'll also notice that the homes of Benny and Mr. Myrtle and Benny's treehouse are not here. This is because they were built for filming the movie and were taken down once the filming was completed. On the east side of the Sandlot are some trees that created a natural mask for the Salt Lake City skyline from the cameras. But those of us who grew up here recognize the mountains. Vincent's drugstore is still in operation, the one that was used for the movie. It's on Main Street in Midvale, 23 miles south of downtown Salt Lake. There's a pizza place at the south end of Main Street called the Bambino, a nickname for Babe Ruth. The pizza there is good. The carnival scenes and the scenes of Benny being chased by Hercules were filmed in Liberty Park, which is also the neighborhood where my paternal grandmother grew up and where she met my grandfather. The game against the Little Leaguers was filmed at Riverside Park, also on the west side, about 4 miles north of the Sandlot. The pool scenes were filmed in downtown Ogden at the Lauren Farr Park Pool, which is still in operation, but has since been remodeled. I will have a link to the recommended Sandlot tour from the Visit Utah website in the comments section below. Pay for play is one of the biggest obstacles kids who want to play sports face today. There is the cost of equipment, transportation, and league fees. In addition to these obstacles, children need a safe place to play and healthy diets. Without financial assistance to underprivileged children, many of the talented players needed for the future of professional sports in the United States will miss out on the chance to discover and develop their talents. The Play Forever Foundation exists to remove these barriers. If you have an extra dollar or two, go over to their website and donate. It will be much appreciated. This organization was founded by 2 of the cast members of the Sandlot. How many of you remember your first crush? I remember mine. It was summer before my 6th grade year. Our whole neighborhood was getting together for fireworks on the 4th of July. And by that, I mean sparklers and a few other unimpressive things that made smoke and a little bit of colored flame. Aerial fireworks were not legal in Utah at the time. There was a new family who moved around the corner that very day. Yes, they moved in on the 4th of July. Whatever. Their oldest was my age and would be in my 6th grade class. We were not formally introduced, but she came to me and asked me to light her sparkler with mine. When I didn't respond, she grabbed my hand and lit her sparkler with mine. I suspect she regretted that, as that was the beginning of a crush that lasted through the school year. But I got over it. In junior high and beyond, we never had a class together because we were differently smart. After our sophomore year in high school, she moved away with her family to another city, and I haven't seen her since. When I was in college, a mutual friend told me she had been living in France. In the film, Michael Squints Palledorous has a crush on Wendy Peffercorn and acts on his impulses and gets his gang banned from the pool. Even though their first encounter was non-consensual, the epilogue tells us that Squints and Wendy get married and have a large family. That interaction likely became a family legend. In spite of this interaction in the movie actually working, I would not recommend any sort of non-consensual intimate contact as a way to impress your crush. It takes years to go from crush to romance. May as well make the journey enjoyable for both of you. And if it doesn't go any further, at least you've made a new friend. The central plot of the movie is about the boys trying to retrieve a baseball hit into Mr. Myrtle's backyard without disturbing his dog Hercules. In the end, Myrtle tells the boys, "You could have just knocked on the door and asked for it, and I would have retrieved it for you." Same with the dozens of other balls hit into Myrtle's backyard. Often the simplest answer to a problem is the best. Believe it or not, science says that we are bred to do this, especially if we are male. We want to impress ladies. We want them to find us attractive. The bigger problem we solve, the more we impress others. This is all according to a study from the University of Minnesota published in 2008. And if the problem isn't big enough, we'll exaggerate. We'll find a way to make that molehill into a mountain one way or another. It's the "I caught a fish this big" syndrome. We are not just trying to make ourselves look better in front of the females we are trying to impress, but we are trying to make ourselves look better than the other males in the room. We want to be the better catch. In the deep recesses of our minds, fighting battles is about survival. The bigger the battle, the better we survive. In the 21st century, we are no longer hunting mammoths to feed our families, but most of us have jobs that make us feel like we did. I know I do. Of course, Scotty Smalls and Benny Rodriguez could not just knock on the door of a stranger and ask for their ball back. It was too simple. Of course, if they had done that, the movie would not have been as entertaining. We would not have had that climactic scene with Hercules chasing Benny through Liberty Park. Sometimes we are all guilty of turning molehills into mountains. We put off taking care of problems when they are small. Often we let them get bigger. If we let them get bigger or make them bigger than we are, it's much more impressive to solve the problem. And yes, ladies, you do that too. We are all more likely to impress our pals by talking about problems we solve. But let's remember, not all molehills make good mountains, and problems can become bigger than we can handle, and we end up hurting others unintentionally. Remember the chase between Hercules and Benny? It ends up with a fence falling on Hercules, and with Scotty knocking on Mr. Myrtle's door anyway, like he should have done from the beginning. Also remember that lies can make good stories, but dishonesty impresses few. One of my favorite aspects of The Sandlot is the relationship between Benny and Scotty. To understand the need Scotty had for a friend and a mentor, we need to discuss what we know about Scotty's backstory. First, his father passed away. Second, his mother was married again about a year before the events of the film take place. And third, he moved in with his family to the San Fernando Valley of California where the movie takes place, roughly toward the end of the school year. We learn early in the film that Scotty never learned how to play baseball. It seems to imply, as I saw the film, that Scotty's real father was very sick for a few years. This was America's golden age where every boy learned how to play catch with his father. Or at least that's what I was led to believe. The narration early in the film states that Scotty and his stepfather were still getting used to each other. Fortunately, Scotty met Benny Rodriguez and his friends. Benny not only teaches Scotty baseball, but taught him in a way that gave him confidence. While it is hard to believe that Benny could actually hit a baseball directly into Scotty's mitt, it's a great scene. Seeing Scotty's confidence grow in one instance is great to see on screen, and I don't know very many movie moments that are like it. If you are struggling in your career or just starting out, seeking mentors is one of the best things you can do, and it's one of the most important career decisions you can make. It's important to choose a good mentor, one that'll take the time you need to help you succeed, one that has the knowledge you need and is willing to share with you. Most importantly, one that will teach you by building your confidence. Choose a mentor. Get someone who will help, but choose wisely. Of course, if you get the chance to be a mentor, be a mentor. Be a good one. Build confidence, much like the way that Benny built Scotty's confidence. I really like The Sandlot. It's a good family-friendly film. It's reminiscent of a time when boys could be boys, learning about the game of baseball and the game of life from friends, a time before helicopter parenting was a thing, and a time when we could be safe at the neighborhood sandlot. The trailers for the new Superman movie are all over the internet. I think it's time we look back on Superman, the movie, the first film in the modern superhero genre. It was one I liked when it first came out, and Superman has always been one of my favorite superheroes since I was a young boy. Then afterwards, I'll discuss my theory, an alternate theory about Back to the Future that you may not have heard. And then we'll get back to the Planet of the Apes series. Thank you for watching.